Peace. What's good, YouTube? It's Kareem Samadi back again with another video. Okay, so becoming the best version of yourself, it requires sacrifice. It requires letting go. It requires letting go of those things that were never really serving you in the first place, that was keeping you from elevating to the best that you could possibly be, right? And so we have to understand from a spiritual perspective exactly where we stand when it comes to this, right? We have to be willing to take a critical look at ourselves and at our lives to really connect the dots and see, okay, I see how I got here in my life to where I am today, and I see where I want to be. And then making the steps or taking the steps necessary, to walk towards where you do want to be, doing the things necessary to be where you do want to be, right? The first way, or the first sacrifice that we really have to understand, the first step to understanding this is accepting that if you're not the best version of yourself in all areas, then you have to accept that you're not giving your best effort in one area or another. Because the best version of yourself requires you to give your best effort. It requires you to do the things that will bring you into the best you, right? That doesn't necessarily mean you have to work, you have to hustle so hard, right? But it does mean that you have to act like you're in alignment with who you truly want to be, right? That's very key. And so after accepting this, it's time to think and act in alignment with what the best you is doing, right? When you meditate, or when you pray, or when you do anything and you see the best you see the you where you want to be, right? Whenever you daydream, you get in the shower, you have those shower thoughts about really who you want to be, those dreams, everything, all of your aspirations, everything that you talk to other people about, but you find yourself just doing wishful thinking when it comes to putting in the action, right? Once you start to put in the action, things will come to you, right? And the things that aren't supposed to be in your life, everything will get filtered out. I promise you that. As long as you really start to put in action, right, and do the inner work. The inner work requires you to take a critical look at yourself and really just understand, the parts about yourself that you have been refusing to understand, right? And so when you do this, think it's going to be a big sacrifice, because you're going to have to let go of vices. You're going to have to let go of people. You're going to have to let go of old thought processes, bad habits, everything. The best version of you, like I said, to get there, you have to embody that right now. So that involves making hard decisions every day. This is why people, when they start the NoFap journey, right, they have to make the decision that, okay, I want to be the person that isn't addicted or that doesn't have a vice dealing with pornography, right? So they have to make that hard choice every day to say no every single day. People who want to financially free themselves, they have to make that hard choice every single day to not do things that don't serve them. And they have to make that hard choice every single day, to work towards that goal, to build towards that goal, to invest towards that goal, right? Hard choices every single day, sacrifices every single day, not wasting their time, right? And not wasting their money, and this is what you have to do spiritually, right? Spiritually, when we want to get somewhere, putting aside money, putting aside, the human and the mundane level things, when we want to spiritually elevate ourselves, get out of humanity and go into our higher nature, go into our true nature, right? We have to understand that there's a larger goal in mind. And so to do that, we have to let go of the flesh, and the flesh is attachments and desires that have been holding us back, over identifying with everything here, trying to build a kingdom here when the real kingdom is within and it's beyond this matrix, right? So that's the ultimate goal, and to get there, we have to look within, and we have to go within and really act in alignment with what's within, right? Then the next step is really just, you have to be willing to give up short-term pleasures and passing excitements, right? My personal experience, right, I have a lot of people wanting me to go out, wanting me to do things, wanting me to just to do things that take away, from not just from YouTube, but from the books that I write, take away from my art, take away from all these things, because obviously it's a time allocation thing, and so when it comes for me building up all of this, I had to invest most of my time into focusing on YouTube. I had to invest most of my time in focusing on TikTok, focusing on my art, focusing on all of these things that I know are going to bring me, the inner joy, right, that I need. And they are my priorities, right? And so like sometimes, I just have to say no, right? And even then, giving up short-term pleasures doesn't just apply to, going out, having a little bit of fun, right? But you have to really be able to see that certain things, while they might bring you short-term pleasure, you have to understand that over time, the more time you spend doing these things, the more they are going to cost you in the long run. So people who are becoming the best version of themselves, or who are the best version of themselves, recognize that before they got there, they had to let go of these short-term pleasures, because those short-term pleasures, they build up, they add up. And when they add up, they weigh you down. These passing excitements, they weigh you down spiritually. The more you attach to them, the more you compromise yourself for these things. So you have to be willing to give up these fleeting pleasures and give up these fleeting excitements, because what the best you has to offer is greater than all this. But that requires you to delay gratification. That requires you to cultivate and grow the real you by building up that person, by saying no, by doing the hard things, or what the you right now perceives as hard, but what the best you thinks is normal, right? So like you have to take into account what these things are and just do them on a daily basis, right? And you'll find that as you continue to role play as the best version of yourself, you close that gap over time, because your subconscious mind recognizes it as, this is my new reality and this is not out of reach. So, and the next step is really just being willing to say no, right? To going places, doing activities that aren't bringing you closer to your goal, right? Anything that's not bringing you closer to being the best version of yourself is a distraction, right? It doesn't matter whether it's pleasurable, doesn't matter whether it's exciting, doesn't matter whether it's beautiful, or whether the people are beautiful, whether the people are fun. It doesn't matter. It could be a fun and a beautiful distraction too, and so we have to understand, in what ways are we distracting ourselves, and what ways are we allowing things outside of us to really, take jurisdiction over what's bringing us closer to our goal. This is why I advocate for men to quit porn and start NoFap, simply because of the fact that you have to ask yourself, what are these things giving you back in terms of getting closer to your goal, right? Because porn doesn't do that for men. Porn doesn't do it for women. It doesn't give you anything back. And not just that, but when it comes to people hanging around people that just don't serve you, people who, maybe it's drugs, right? Maybe drugs is your vice of choice. So, you might be smoking a lot of weed, you might be smoking a lot of cigarettes, but what are those things giving you back in terms of getting you closer to your goal, getting you closer to the best version of you, right? If you envision the best version of you, he or she probably doesn't have to wake and bake. He or she probably doesn't have to tap into drugs to get that euphoria. He or she probably already has it naturally, because they're so in tune with their spirit, right? So we have to realize these things, and we have to say no to these things. And it's going to be hard, especially if there's a dependency there. And you'll know if there's a dependency there if you try to do it and it seems like there's resistance. It seems like there's a pull. It seems like your ego's debating you into saying, hey, I have no idea whether or not this is really advice or not. I just feel good doing it. But sometimes what feels good to the body isn't nourishing to the spirit. So we have to really understand that too. So in the next step to becoming the best version of yourself and recognizing that it requires sacrifice, the next step is realizing that the things holding you back, or realizing the things that hold you back, is usually hard and is usually saddening at first, right? Because these things can be people, these things can be places, these things can be careers, environments, family, a lot of things that we associate with, a better human life, right? But when you realize that these things they do nothing but hold you back, especially from connecting with the divine within, right? Attaching to these things does nothing but hold you back, right? Because like what I said in the other video is that, we'll attach to things simply because of the fact that there's this notion that we'll have a better life. But in reality, the only thing that you can really get a better life out of is what's within. and that's your divine spirit. You know, you can't get a better life attaching to anything outside of you in this matrix. That's how you create suffering for yourself, right? That's, you know, depending on anything out here, that's how you create more suffering for yourself, because you are looking for satisfaction. You are looking for happiness, joy, love, excitement in things outside of you, because you haven't generated it within. And so as a result, you might create unconscious dependencies, unconscious attachments, many different things that will hold you back, right? And so this is why, you know, you can gain everything, but you'll still feel like you have nothing, because that, you know, all the real gains are made within. The real gains are made spiritually, you know, but all these physical gains, all these gains outside of ourselves are minimal in comparison to what our spirit can give us. So we have to be aware of that. And letting go brings euphoria. Detachment brings liberation, right? And not in a toxic way, but in a you know, a non-dependent way of moving through life. You know, letting these things pass by, understanding and putting them in their place objectively, but not giving them rule over your life, not feeling like they are needs that you must submit to. You know, whatever you submit to becomes your God. So if you are submitted to these ways of life, then they become rulers over you. And so you have to be aware of what you're doing. You also have to be willing to make these sacrifices, right? You know, because a lot of us, we have a lot of wishful thinking in terms of what we want in life. You know, a lot of wishful thinking in terms of getting the abundance that we want. A lot of wishful thinking in terms of spiritual transformation, spiritual enlightenment, right? It's in terms of spirituality, it's really devolved into, you know, just a very degenerate version of it, simply because of the fact that people are so out of sync now with their spirit, to the point where, you know, it's so mainstream, right? But we have to realize that what we can get within is more than what anything outside of us can give us. And the information that we get within is also more than the information that we can find out here, you know, and that's also why, you know, the ultimate goal is for you to guide yourself. You know, that's the ultimate goal. Guide yourself, and for you to be in alignment with where your intuition is bringing you, you know, and like I said in many other videos, no book and no video can really show you how to do these things. You know, you have to find the language that your mind is speaking to you, you know, and that's why I say keep a journal, emotions and thoughts and dreams. You want journals for all three of those things, because dreams will show you how your spirit is talking to you. It will show you how your subconscious mind speaks to you, you know, and so when you start to follow that more often throughout your daily life, you'll find that you have the answers that you need. They were always there, right? But were you willing to make those sacrifices needed, you know, to bring the best you into existence? That's the question you have to ask yourself, you know, after evaluating these things, you know, and some of us aren't willing to make these sacrifices. For some of us, you know, the best version of ourselves is nothing more than a fantasy, you know, or, you know, a lot of people, they have a lot of ego attached to it. You know, when it comes to becoming the best version of themselves, they just want to be seen. They want to be accepted by others, you know, or they want to find a way to see and accept themselves, you know, because they feel like when they reach a certain point that they'll finally feel satisfied, right? And that's, like I said, that's just egos. Egos need to consume and poison everything, you know. And so when we put that ego's agenda on everything, that's when we begin to sour the experience, you know. So that's why the best agenda is no agenda, you know, or just to surrender to the process of what's going on within, surrender to your higher knowledge, surrender to your higher self. You know, if you believe in God, surrender to God. You know, that's what's going to bring you, you know, closer to the best version of yourself. But to do that, you have to be in that process of surrender. You have to be willing to sacrifice and let go. And so whatever disappears as a result of that, as hard as it is to let go of these things, as, you know, saddening as it is to let go of these things, people, places, things, whatever it may be, it's all for your own benefit, because you might not see it right now, but you will see it when those when the real changes are being made, you know, and that's real talk. So that's the video. If you enjoy the content, make sure you subscribe, turn notifications on so you can get notified when I post fire content like this. And leave a like and a comment. Let me know your thoughts. I hope it inspired you guys. And I wish you all luck in your journey, and peace.